Hello everyone. Today we're looking at dividing radical expressions. And you're going to use the quotient rule for radicals. It's etiquette that radicals cannot remain in the denominator. It's very much like you need to simplify a fraction in order for it to be the correct answer. So what you do is a term called rationalize the denominator. And there's two things that we do to rationalize the denominator. For a single term radical, multiply both numerator and denominator by that radical. And for a conjugate or a binomial radical expression, you multiply by the conjugate. We will begin by looking at rationalizing the denominator that has a single term. So, for example, it says rationalize each denominator. Number 1, we have 2 divided by the square root of 6. To rationalize this denominator, I'm going to multiply both denominator and numerator by what the radical is, the square root of 6. So I multiply numerator and denominator. The reason I do this, multiplying by the same thing, is the square root of 6 times square root of 6 is 6. So this is my final answer. 2 times square root of 6 is 2 square roots of 6 divided by 6. And then simplify. 2 and 6 can cancel. My final answer is the square root of 3. Again, I have radical 5 divided by radical 12. I'm going to multiply both the numerator and denominator by the square root of 12. So I multiply through. I end up with the square root of 60 over 12. Simplify the square root of 60. I end up with 2 square roots of 15 over 12. The 2 and the 12 will simplify to 6. My final answer, square root of 15 over 6. And that is simplifying with a single radical. So let's look at some more problems. And what I ask is that you pause the video, work them, and let's see if we end up with the same answers. Okay, so for this one here, I'm going to multiply both numerator and denominator by the square root of 5. I end up with 8 square root of 5 over 5. I cannot simplify any more than that. Next one I will rewrite to help me visualize. So I will multiply both numerator and denominator by the radicand, that radical, the whole thing, not just by 12, by 12x. And that gives me that in my numerator, and this gives me this in my denominator. Okay, the next one's tricky because notice it is a cube root. So if I just multiplied through by the cube root of 4, and I'm going to do this, this is not correct what I'm doing. I'll show you the why. If I just multiplied through by the cube root of 4, what do I actually get rid of? Do I actually get rid of that? No, because it'll be the cube root of 16. And there's not a cube, a perfect cube for 16. What I need to do is multiply through here by 4 squared. See, what I end up needing to make it is to where I have 3 4's in that denominator because it's a cube root. So instead of multiplying through by 4, I'm going to multiply through by 16. I'm going to multiply through by 16 because 4 times 16 is 64. That is the cube root of 4. So I'll rewrite this here. I have the cube root of 5 over, and here, let me make sure. that's what this is. And we'll actually work it out. And write it like this. 4 times 4. So you can see I need those 3 4s. Well, I will say 5 times 4 is 20, and 20 times 4 is 80, so the cube root of 80 over, well, this is the cube root of 64, which I know the cube root of 80, I have to write that out, is simply 4. And how can I break this down? I need something that is a cube, so I can say 8 times 10, because 8 is a perfect cube. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So I can pull out a 2, cube roots of 10 over 4. Cube root of 10 over 2, because my 2 and my 4 cancel. Cube root of 10 over 2. The cube roots can get you. Remember, it's not as simple as saying multiply by the cube root of 4. I need to turn it into a perfect cube. What I was looking for is this. What is the cube root of 4? Well, 4 times 4 times 4. Alright, next one. Back to square root. And with these, there are other ways. I could have gone ahead and simplified 20 if I wanted to. And that is our rationalization of the denominator, rationalizing them. You can view it as simplifying, especially once you get down to where you start having to work through. It incorporates all of them. You'll even incorporate the product rule, how we broke the radicals down. So, step by step, critically think, structure your work, reason through, take the knowledge you've already learned in the past sections and be able to work this through. Again, this was just rationalizing a single term. We didn't do anything with conjugates. We'll do that in the next video. So, good luck on those homework problems, guys.